Well, I've just about worked myself out of a job here. I've just about got everything fixed on this wing that I need to get fixed before doing the cover on it. The last major thing that I needed to do was to get that wingtip bow made. Well, I got it made the other day, and I've got it installed, and all my leading edge covers are cleaned up and painted and ready to go on. I've got all my false spars on, and then the bell crank here for the flap, I was waiting to put it on till I got the flap return spring. I got it the other day and got it all set up. Well, I got my wiring harness for my landing lights and my nav light all lined up, put in and tied down. I got the pitot lines put back in, cleaned up and reinstalled, put back in where they go and tied down with friction tape. New bolts in on these brackets on the end of the bars. Anti-drag strut here, the inboard one that I took off and cleaned up, got all the old crappy paint off of it, got it cleaned up, it's reinstalled. This brace that goes across here in the fuel tank bay, I got it cleaned up and powder coated with a zinc-rich primer, and it's installed. And then the fuel tank strap hold downs, they were a little bit rusty. That was one of the things that I saw first when I took the wing apart, was those, and those are all cleaned up and taken apart. So this was the other thing that needed to be done, was putting this inboard flap false spar on. That was the last thing that I needed to do. So I'll go ahead and do it now. So anyway, there's a few screws to put in here. I got the new 1/4 inch sheet metal screws, the Z-type or B-type in here that go into the spar. Those are put in. And now we'll get these ones that go into the ribs put in. And there's some sheet metal machine screws that go in to the base of backs of these ribs here. And we're making progress now. I got 3 of the leading edge skins on. Got that wingtip bow all put on the other day, and then I put the leading edge skin tip on and started putting the leading edge skin that goes from the tip inboard to the landing light assembly. I got it started. And last night I came up here and worked on it some more and finished that one up. And then tonight I've come up, worked on that next skin in, and I just got finished with it, got it all buttoned on there. It's been kind of springtime in Alaska weather here for the last couple of weeks. I got rain and snow and hail and wind and all kinds of stuff like that. Had a little opening about a week and a half ago. I was able to get that wingtip bow bent. We did have a little bit of an opening on Thursday. My wife had a big chicken feed order, and we were able to go pick that up and get it all put away without getting it wet. But otherwise it's been pretty nasty, so it's been working inside weather. Well, then the weather had turned off pretty nice, and I've got stuff outside that I want to get done. So I've been working outside in the daytime and just coming up here for a couple hours at night working on this. I've got to quit again now. It's just midnight again now, so I've got to go down and get to bed. Like I said, I've been getting stuff done outside. We've got about a week of nice weather here. It's supposed to even be up into the 60s for a couple of days. Tomorrow I'm going to call and order some drain rock. I got to work on a septic system while the weather's nice here. I don't like working out there in the rain anymore if I don't have to, in the cold and the rain. So I'm going to take advantage of the good weather while we've got it. Well, anyway, that's enough for tonight. I'm making progress slowly, but that is progress. I'm happy with that. Those skins are on there pretty nice. I've got 4 leading edge skins installed, and they went on pretty good. These have a lip on them, 90-degree bend over, that goes down over the backside of the wing spar, both top and bottom. Now this one, the third one, it was fairly easy to go on because that's thinner. I don't know whether that's 25 thousandths or 16 thousandths or what, but anyway, it's thinner metal. These are a little tougher because they're thicker metal. So I got those seams there pretty tight. These are on there pretty good, but mostly in the same holes that they were in when I took them off. I did have to drill a couple of holes in a couple of these to get clean screw holes in them, but for the most part they all went in the same holes and they tightened up real good. Now I'm getting to the 5th skin, And this one is just a short skin. It only covers one bay, 2 ribs, and a nose rib in between. Now this is the one that I had trouble with before, that had the big gap in here between this skin here, the number 4 skin and the number 5 skin. The number 5 skin pooched way up over the number 4 skin and wound up cutting into the fabric here. And it had raw edges on them. The edges on them were just like saw edges there, where they were cut and they weren't trimmed off or anything. They were just cut and they were just raw edges. I cleaned this edge up and deburred it before I painted it and everything and got it all cleaned up. Thought maybe that would work. But as I get to putting it on here and looking, it still pooches out. So this skin is just not made so that it fit tight on here. I mean, they didn't have it tight on there. I may be able to get it tight on there, but when I tighten it up, then it extends out past the spar here, the bulb angle on the spar, on both top and bottom. But to get this one to massage in there to where it's not going to be sticking out, I can get it if I work it. See here where it goes over this inboard rib, it actually, well, it still sticks out. So I can get it massaged in there where it's tight. But I might do a little bit more to this. I'm thinking most airplanes, when you're doing sheet metal work and you have sheets of aluminum or sheets of metal overlapping another sheet, they'll put a little break on this one that's overlapping the other one so that it goes down and makes a real tight seam on the 2 of them where they go together. Well, these don't. These are just flat as they can be. There's nothing to them. So I was thinking that maybe to kind of help solve that problem, I might break that edge just a little bit on this, the edge that overlaps this number 4 skin. They make special tools for doing that. And sometimes they'll do it in a sheet metal brake, if you got a big enough brake. But this has already got a bend in it where it's formed for around that rib, so I couldn't put it in the sheet metal brake. And they have a tool that you can adjust, just a hand tool, and run along that edge there. Just pull it along there or ratchet it around with a wrench. I'm not sure how exactly it works. But I didn't ever get one of those. What I have done is use my bead roller, and I've got this real mild bead that I made. I got a UHMW one here on the bottom, aluminum one on the top, and I made this for making beads in the fuselage when I built the fuselage of the airplane, or put the new fuselage on the airplane. I made it for doing that. So if I use this, I can just make a real small, just a real light break in that, just to bend that over just a little bit. See, I'm not even moving it right now. I'm going to have to tighten it up some more to do that. And this is what I did with all of the metal that I made in the fuselage when I was redoing it, and also on the floats when I was repairing the floats. See, that didn't do anything to that yet. We'll run it through again. I'll run it through again, not we. Alright, I'm going to see how that works now. So if I put this, so I put the bottom lip on first, bring this around, put the top lip on. Yeah. Okay, that made a big difference on that. Oh, I still got a gap right down here. I'm going to have to try to massage that out of there. Well, let's try something else here. I got to get that. It's tight over here. No, it's not either tight on that. Well, let's see what else I can do here. All right, what I've done on the rest of these is put this around here and hold the bottom up onto the bottom of the spar with a spring clamp or 2 spring clamps, and then bring the top over, wrap it over the top of the spar here and hold it on with spring clamps. And then I'd take and put screws in the bottom through the flange here, down on the bottom bulb angle on the spar, to hold that in place. And then I'd massage this up and start putting match up my holes in here, start putting my screws in there. And once I got these top screws in on the top here of the skin, then I'd go ahead and put my screws back here in the flange on the back into the bulb angle of the spar there, and then I'd crawl underneath it and put the screws in from the bottom, in the bottom of the ribs. This one is going to be a little bit different because these flanges hang way out past the bulb angle on the spar. So I'm going to go ahead and screw this down to these ribs on top to anchor this in place, and then I'll go down to the bottom and massage this way and put the screws in down there. And whoever made this skin made it too big. These flanges don't match up, so I'm going to drill new holes here. Now this one doesn't get screwed down until I put that other skin over here, but I'm going to go ahead and put some screws in it anyway, just to anchor it down. All right, that's better, much better. I want to put an extra screw in that just to, most of these only have 2 screws in them in the bottom down here. I'm going to put an extra screw in there just for good measure. All right, that's tight now. Yeah, that's a whole lot better than it was. Much better. Now I can put anti-chafing tape over that, and that's not going to cut through the fabric there. All right. Now I got to put the Z-screws back here in the bulb angle, and I'm going to have to drill all those out. None of those match up with the existing holes now. Got all of the leading edge skins attached now. And this one is the number 5 leading edge skin. It's just a short one that just goes between these 2 ribs right here, and then this next rib over this way is the fuel tank bay. And this is the one that had problems with before. Of course, it had a rough edge on here, a sawn edge on it, but then it wasn't flush down against this rib right here. It was sticking up, and especially down underneath, and it sawed through the fabric right there. I worked on this and cleaned up this edge and put it on, but the other thing that was wrong with it, see, you've got a bend right here that's a little more than 90 degrees off the sheet, and the sheet goes around in a shape to go around the leading edge of the wing. And then there's another bend down here on the bottom that comes up. These flanges that the bend makes fit over the wing spar, and they're screwed into it. Well, when they were tight up against the wing spar, then they didn't fit tight up against the rib, so they stuck way out. Well, I spent quite a bit of time massaging on this one, working on everything and getting it so that it fit up tight against the nose rib. And I put a little bit of a relief, a band here on this edge along here so that it fit tight against this other skin over here. Because it went in tight now against the ribs, the holes that were already in this bent over flange right here don't match up with the holes that were originally in there that was screwed into the spar. So I've got to put new holes in there to get that to screw down, and that takes a 93 thousandths drill bit, it says in the plans, but the closest I can come to a 93 thousandths drill bit is a number 42. So ideally you want to put the screws back in the same holes that they came out of. You don't want to put any additional holes in this wing spar, but you won't have much choice here. Well, there was one hole down here on the bottom that did match up, but the screw wouldn't tighten up in that, so I went ahead and drilled another hole in it. So this is all finished now. The leading edges are all on. So technically, I could go ahead and start laying out and putting the fabric on there now. But I need a few more days for that varnish to set up there on that wingtip bow. They said 7 days on that before it was solvent free. So I need a few more days on that. And then I just ordered the wing tie down that goes on the spar and goes right behind that landing light right there. And it's one of those holes that I used for ground on that landing light assembly. So I've got to wait for that. That'll take a couple days to get here. Just coming from Anchorage, and they're going to mail it out tomorrow. So tomorrow's Thursday, so by Monday it should be here. I can start laying out the fabric on here and getting that figured out, but I don't want to start putting fabric down until I get that wing tie down in. But anyway, I got the leading edges on. Hey, I'm happy. I could dance a jig now. So there's the inboard leading edge. There's where the fuel tank bay is. That's all on and set up nice. That took a little bit of work too, because that was also a little bit oversized, but we got that on there. No oil cannon. Of course, I put this on the other day. This is the false bar, the inboard flat false bar, and we've got the bell crank and everything all set up inside there. That's good. Well, there it is. Now here's the skin that I had the trouble with. Well, it's all on there nice. There's a foreskin and the 3 skin and the landing light assembly, and right down in here, this is where that bracket for the tie down goes on there. So here's the skin for the landing light and the wingtip skin, and of course the wingtip bow, and my aileron false spars. Anyway, everything's good, ready to be covered.